Hey everyone, I'm Stephanie, and I believe that the right book at the right time can change lives, and that all readers should read children's literature, especially adults. So that's what we do here on the Kid Lit Love podcast. We celebrate all things children's literature: picture books, early readers, middle grade, and young adult novels for readers of all ages. In each episode, we'll talk with children's literature authors and discuss their books, their hopes, their dreams for readers, their writing process, and much, much more. Whether you're an adult reading to their inner child or connecting the young readers in your life with fantastic books, you've come to the right place. So grab a notebook to build your TBR, and let's get to today's episode of Kid Lit Love. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Kid Lit Love podcast. I'm Stephanie Affinito, your Kid Lit Loving host, inviting you back to another bookish conversation with a children's literature author. Today, I'm talking with Keith Negley. Keith is a Kate Greenaway nominated author and illustrator of multiple books for children. His books include The Running Machine, Art is Life, The Boy and the Wild Blue Girl, and other notable titles. He's here today to discuss his newest picture book, The Beginner's Guide to Being a Wizard. It's the first book in a new series focused on silly how-to themes and explores how to be a wizard and develop perseverance too. It's a true joy and delight to read, and I can't wait to talk about it with him. So, as always, we will get right to the episode. Keith, welcome to Kid Lit Love. I am so glad you're here today.
Hi, Stephanie. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Now, I can't wait to get into this very whimsical, wonderful book, and I'm excited that I get to talk to you about both writing the words and creating the illustrations. But before we get there, I'd love for you to tell us a bit more about you and the journey you've taken through children's literature.
Yeah, I probably not too unusual, I guess. I came into doing picture books because, like probably most of us, I started having kids and I was reading a lot of picture
Mhm.
books. And so
Yeah.
I had been doing editorial illustration up until that point for about 10 years. And it never occurred to me to get into children's books, but I started reading how many not great ones there were. Like there were just, I was really surprised at how there were so many that were not good. And then at the same time, I would stumble upon some that were just, to me, transcended the medium into this world of action, like being like fine art. And so those two things happening at the same time was like, oh my gosh, I got to try this. And so I started making books for my kids and just reading to them on the iPad, And then after I had three or four of them, I just started sending them out to the few people I happened to know that worked as editors. And luckily enough, one of them saw the potential and gave me a shot and published them. So, and it's been a ride ever since.
Yeah. So what comes first for you? The words, the illustrations? Is it a mixture of both? The
It's
idea? Tell
usually
us.
for me, yeah, it's usually it's almost like a feeling, like it's
Mm.
like it'll be, I'll be walking down the street and one of my kids will say something, or I'll overhear a conversation at a coffee shop, or it'll be like I'll watch a trailer to a movie and the feeling I get from the trailer is like, oh wow, like I want to recreate this feeling. And so it's usually around tension, like it's usually like a character that wants something and everybody else in the book doesn't want them to have it. That's how it's been. Or they just don't understand, basically, like, what, you're crazy, you can't do that. And then the protagonist goes on and does it. um, those have been the books that I just love to write up until now. This newest book is definitely I'm moving in a different direction. This is the first like funny book I've ever done. But I don't know, it's been a blast. So yeah, this is new.
Well, it still has that feeling though. Like when you read this book, and we'll talk about it in a minute, the combination of the words, the pictures, I'm lucky enough to be scrolling through the pages that listeners can't see right now. You get this very fun, excited, almost whimsical kind of feeling. So I can see how your books are first sparked by that feeling, even if this is a different direction for you. Um, Readers feel it. Readers definitely feel. I'm looking at one page, which is the spell of maybe. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just these beautiful illustrations. Like you just can't help but get like little effervescent bubbles inside. Like, oh, the smell of maybe. What's happening? So I can totally see that's how the books
Oh, cool.
start their
Yeah,
origin.
yeah. That spread was actually an afterthought. It was the last one I did, and it was only the book had been
Oh,
finished at that point, and then it just felt like I there needed to be one spread that at least one spread that just kind of exploded with just weirdness, and
yes.
so that's how that the spell of maybe came about.
Oh, well, it's my favorite page, so I'm glad it
Okay,
made it
cool.
in there. Okay, well, I've teased listeners a little bit about what's inside. Tell us about the Beginner's Guide to Being a Wizard, and the inspiration behind this series and this particular book.
Yeah, I started out. I wanted to make. Well, I guess the initial inspiration was this book called "The Journal of a Disappointed Man," which is not a children's book. It's like this diary that was published post mortem of this man who grew up in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And it's just his diary, but it's like so eloquently written. And the whole entire book or diary is just him sort of complaining about stuff like, the noisy neighbors or like the bugs that are outside or like how hot the weather is. And he gets a toothache at one point, but it's very bittersweet. It's like hilarious, but also poignant. And anyway, you get to follow his whole life from like being a young teenager to like dying basically on his deathbed. And so I had this, like all things, I'm always like, how do I turn this into a picture book? Anytime something like makes me feel something, I'm always like, how do I turn this into a picture book? And so I was going to write this diary of a disappointed wizard was like this idea I had. I also wanted to like, I don't know, I had so many ideas that were wizard based that never went anywhere. I kept pitching them to my agent at the time, and she was just like, no, like the jokes were way too sophisticated.
Yeah.
And so just to like long story short, this book has been a long time coming. But anyway, so the diary then turned into um, sort of like a grumpy wizard showing the ropes to like a younger apprentice. And that got to be more fun to do because then the wizard got to be wrong all the time. And that was fun, but then it still was a little too sophisticated. So then I kind of like cleaned it up even more. And it just sort of turned into like this idea of a guidebook because then it was like, oh, now I don't have to worry about the plot. I don't have to worry about like this story arc or some kind of a message. I can just tell funny jokes. This is just a platform. This idea of taking something really silly, but like delivering the information in a really serious way.
Yeah.
I just get a kick out of that whenever that kind of humor is some of my favorites. So um, once that clicked, it was just like, oh, game on. Like I'm ready. So then it just kind of all came together really quickly. But I will say, I mean, I started writing this in like 2018. So it's just been a long time.
Yeah. Coming to the version that it was meant to be in.
Exactly.
Sometimes take time. Well, you mentioned some of the fun and the jokes. I love right off the bat, there is a note to readers, right at the top, note. This book will not sparkle. It does not glow when you open it. If it's glowing, close the book immediately. Maybe try again tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah. No, I love that. Like to me, I don't know. There's just something really funny and fun about books that are kind of like they break that wall. And again, it's like, they're joking, but it's like the book almost doesn't even know that they're joking. I don't know.
Yes.
I just get it. I just think that's so much fun.
Yeah, when the reader kind of has the inside scoop and that inside
Exactly.
story behind it. Yeah.
Right.
Now I do love, well, I love a couple of things, but I think what was fun for me too is you've got, that outline of a beginner's guide to being a wizard. So, you want to be a wizard, excellent choice. We got to go through the tools that you'll need, the familiars, which I
Hmm.
loved, who your familiar, your little sidekick was going to be. And then we move into some of the rules. So it's this almost straightforward, like, let's do it. You're going to be a
Yeah.
wizard, let's get to it. But then in the middle of all of that, you've got these beautiful, I would say almost like lessons that just kind of seep in. Like, a wand is just a stick that feels good about itself. And, things around mindset or the spell of maybe and just try it. See what happens. Don't know what will happen. It's got both, right? It's got the fun of a picture book, and then what I love about a picture book is when it makes you think in a bigger way and you don't even know it. You're just
Yeah.
enjoying the story, and both of that is here. It's just delightful. It's a true
Oh,
delight, even as someone in her late 40s.
yeah. I mean, I don't, I mean, I don't know. Like, I know Maurice Sendak has said this where he didn't consider what he did as writing for children. Like, he just wrote stories and it just
Yeah,
helps happen that they resonated with kids. And just to sort of, I kind of take that as well, but also, like, I honestly would say I don't write stories for kids. Like, I write stories that I would want to read as a
yeah,
parent. And so that's a little selfish of me, but like, um, the jokes in there are definitely for me. Those are like the things that I think are funny. I'm just really glad that I was able to find a voice that my editor and agent also agreed kids would like too.
right.
But yeah, so I like, and I know everyone probably says this who make picture books, but it's like I really do think the parents would get a kick out of this.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And now, maybe a little ammunition, either pro or against, depending on the way they look at it. A gecko as a pet.
Yeah, yeah, right. Because there's so many. I started with a couple different animals. I think at one point it was an owl. There was a couple different, and I don't know. The gecko just seemed like something that people hadn't really tackled yet in a picture
Yeah.
book, and so it felt like the one animal that we could sort of own in a way. Um, yeah. So anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, the gecko is funny.
Now, I love to, as I mentioned, it's a lot of fun and it is funny, but it also has these, heartfelt kind of messages as well. And I've got to say, the page that really went straight to my heart was towards the end. I don't think it's a spoiler. If it's okay, I want to read the page that just was
Go
like
for it.
the magic page beyond the spell of somebody. Um, Real wizards don't always know the way. They wonder, they try. Magic always knows where to find you. And I just felt that in my bones. That it
Oh,
just a beautiful message throughout this book, inside and out. And I say that kind of tongue in cheek because we get to see the wizard inside and out in your end pages as well, which is a cool addition.
that's so cool. Yeah, yeah, no. I mean, I want to take credit for that. I mean, I guess the actual writing was mine, but like when I pitched it to my agent, Hannah Mann, who's like brilliant and amazing, and she was like, "This is funny, but like, how do we bring some heart into this?" And
Mhm.
so it really was her guidance for me to take it to that place. But I'm so glad she did because it's like the book is 10 times better for it. And so, yeah, I'm so glad that we were able to make that happen. But it was a team effort, I feel like.
Yeah. Now, tell me about the actual process of creating it. Like, I'd love to know how you bring the book to life. Obviously, I know you write the words and you do the images, but what does that look like for you and doing both and the colors you choose and
Yeah, yeah.
all of it?
Well, I mean, there's the way I handled this book is almost every book I do, I really do kind of treat it as its own individual thing. I really don't like using what I've done in the past as like some kind of a gate where I have to like stay within the same confines. But in this particular case, I already had a bunch of wizard imagery because I had written like 5 wizard books up until this point.
Mm.
So I was able to take a lot of what I had already done and almost write around those pictures. Like there's one spread where there's like the wizard is like meditating on a beach, and like that was from something else entirely. And it was more about like the spread was more about like how wizards, need to take time to like take a break, and so I was able to, or like let's see, there's a couple other spreads where like the dragon spread, there's one point where like a big mama dragon comes in, and like that was from a completely different story arc, but like I had to have the drag. I just loved the dragon so much that I was like, I
Yeah.
have to figure out how to put this in here. And so I just made up the idea of like, don't summon the baby dragon unless you can handle mama dragon. And
Yes.
so like in a lot of ways, like the artwork really sort of drove where what I did with the writing, which is not always the case. Normally it's like happening simultaneously. So in that regard, I feel like the book is stronger in that way, where the writing can tell one story and the art can tell another story, and they, together they make a new story, and
Yeah.
which I find to be the most rewarding, but also sometimes the hardest to pull off. And so in this case, I'm really happy with how that worked out. But yeah, it was a lot of cases, a lot of the artwork was like, okay, I've already got this picture of a wizard in the forest. What do I do? How do I turn this? How do I use this? There was only a few spreads that I drew up specifically for the book, which one of them was the spell of maybe was one of them. So
My favorite. Yeah, I can picture kids leaning in. Like, when you're
yeah,
reading, either it's bedtime and they're next to you, or as a former teacher, when they'd all be sitting down, and it's a really great book when they all get that 45-degree lean towards you, and your picture is just like beg to be leaned into. I just love the color scheme, just the brightness that you've used throughout as well.
oh, cool. Thanks. Yeah. For some reason, purples and pinks and greens just felt very wizardy to me.
Yes.
I
Yes.
don't know why that is, but it
Yeah,
just.
I agree. I agree. So as you think of this book going out into the world and getting into readers' hands, what is your hope for it, or your hope for those readers?
I mean, my hope for it is that it's like a massive hit, and like, it becomes like a global sensation, and there's like wizard tchotchkes in airports, and
Yes.
there's like a movie franchise and a cartoon that comes out, the Beginner's Guide series cartoon. I want that. That would be great.
Yes,
That's
that
what I
would
want.
be great. Let's put it out there. Start
Can I have that,
manifesting it
please?
right now.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, everybody. What I want for kids, I guess. I mean, as a parent and someone who reads to their kids, um, I guess I love the idea of there being a book where both the mom or the dad and the kid are just cracking up, and they're
Yes.
doing it together, and they're laughing about the same stuff, and it's not the parent just sort of like placating, and it's not the kid like having to like struggle to get the jokes. It's like something where everybody gets met in the middle, and it's sort of I don't know, it brings them all together closer, and it's more of an experience, and they can be like, oh my gosh, and the kid's like, can we please read this one again? And the parents
Yes.
are like, oh my god, yeah, please, like that would be
Yeah.
awesome, like let's do it. That would be my hope. Like I've read so many books where my kids don't like the books, but I want to read. And it's like, can we please read Sam and Dave Dig a Hole again? Can we please read? And they're like, no, I'm so sick of that book. You know what I mean? And they'll be like, no, well, I really want to. And it's like, can we not? I don't want to. We've read that so many times. So I guess I wanted to make something that everybody would be equally stoked on. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess that would be, in a nutshell, that would be what I would hope
Yeah.
that is the takeaway.
Yeah. It'll be one that would be taken out again and reread and leaned into just a little bit more and reread and
Yeah,
laughed
right.
again.
I hope so. Yeah. And then like people are like, oh, this is my favorite spread, or like I
Yes.
think this is the funniest part. Like I think that'd be so much fun.
Yeah. That's the magic, of picture books. When you read them with kids, it's that conversation it's the
Oh,
thread
absolutely.
that pulls everybody together.
Absolutely. And it's like the kids, they always find something that you never thought that they would be responding to. And
Yes.
yeah, I'm so like we keep bringing up the maybe spread, but like I put all kinds of little things in there. I'm just so curious what they'll pick up on. There's like a hot dog in there with like eyes and a face, and I don't know, like monster trucks and stuff. And I
Yeah.
just think yeah, it was so much fun.
Yeah. Donuts, skateboards,
Donuts, skateboards.
all of the
Yeah.
things. Now, this is book one, but there's another one coming, right?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, yeah. The Beginner's Guide to Owning a Cat. I'm just finishing up that book now, and so that's supposed to be out next year. And I mean, not to toot my own horn, but I think it's even funnier personally. But I'm a little biased. But yeah, I'm super excited about it. I mean, when I finally came to that final sort of aha, like, oh my gosh, I could just make a guidebook. It just all came together, and I was like, well, I was already working on a guidebook about kindergarten, so I've got a manuscript that's like the beginner's guide to the first day of school, but then there's also like this supernatural aspect. There's like the beginner's guide to catching a ghost, or The
Mm,
Beginner's Guide to, going to outer space. So there's a lot of this, and the dream would be to sort of go back and forth. So every other book is more supernatural, and then the opposite would
okay.
be something that's a little more like there's The Beginner's Guide to Pooping Your Pants, The Beginner's Guide to Telling a Lie. So there's like all kinds of books that are sort of like actually in real life too. So anyway,
Yeah. Oh,
it's
so you've
super
got the
fun.
best of both worlds.
Yeah, exactly. Like I didn't want to be narrowed to just one specific thing. So anyway, I intentionally wrote like an equal number of both. So yeah, I mean, the
Wow.
first two are what is in the contract, and so that we're just going to wait and see how the people respond. But
Yeah.
it would be so much fun if I was able to keep making these, because they're hands down the most fun I've made. They're sort of like everything I've learned about picture books have now, like, I get to use it, and it's like I finally learned I get to do all the things I love to do, and I don't have to do any of the things I don't want to do.
That's the
You know.
magic spot, right?
Mhm.
Now it sounds like you kind of have multiple ideas and multiple things kind of juggling around at the same time when you kind of hold some of those ideas around. Are there other things you're working on that you may be able to give listeners a sneak peek into?
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff. This has been a busy year for me, I guess. I've written a couple of books that other people are illustrating, and so those are just getting wrapped up. We're putting like the finishing touches on the jacket copy and things like that. But that's a new thing for me, which I've never done before. I wrote a book that's called oh my gosh, now I'm going to forget the title because my brain is just kind of going a million miles a minute. It's called One Day I Will Carry You for the Last Time, and
Oh boy.
it's a much more, yeah, it's a much more heartfelt, very
Yeah.
very like sensitive, touchy feely. And so when I pitched the book, I was going to illustrate it, but my editor at the time was like, we kind of see a softer look to this, because the writing is just so, it's very poetic, and
Yeah.
it's very very like, it's gonna, I don't know, it's gonna bring a tear to your eye kind of thing. And it was like not silly, so I was like,
Yeah.
yes, let's get someone else. So they got Karina Lycan to illustrate it,
Oh boy.
who I'm so stoked on. She's like amazing, so that's
Yeah.
going to be rad. And the artwork looks so good, and I'm so happy about it. And anyway, so that's going to be out next year. um, I'm working on a book about Tony Hawk for, do you know the Little People Big Dreams series?
Yes.
I did a book about Steven Spielberg that came out this year, I think, or last year, just came out recently. I'm finishing up a book about Tony Hawk for them, and
Fun.
I used to skateboard, and so it's been so much fun to just draw skateboarders and ramps. I don't know. Um, anyway, so it's just like I'm having a lot of fun. So yeah, these are things that I'm working on now. And then I've also just got a bunch of new book ideas that I need to pitch, because I don't know, I need to get some more books on my docket to work on for next year. So there's like all kinds of stuff. We talked about well, I don't want to tell you my book ideas that I'm pitching because they're not acquired yet.
That's
So
that's that's right.
yeah,
Keep those closer.
yeah.
I'm just curious, how do you capture them all together? Do you like you got a secret notebook with these little
Oh
sketches
my
of
God.
drawings or how's
Well,
it for you?
yeah, I mean, I start off with like my phone. So
Yeah.
I've got like a zillion notes on my phone. Anytime something pops into my head at any time, I just write it down like on a note, like book idea, and then,
Yep.
sausage rides a ferry or something. I don't know. And then if it's a good enough idea, it'll make it onto my computer, where I have just a bunch of notes of book ideas on my computer. And then, um, from there, like I just kind of collect them. And then when I'm ready to, like, okay, I've got a morning to like start working on new stuff, I'll go through those notes, and whatever one jumps out at me in that moment, like,
Right.
oh, that would be fun to draw a sausage, let's try it. And then I'll start to like sketch it out.
Oh, fun.
And so once, if I can create a spread, it's usually like the pinnacle of the story, um the climax of the tension. I'll start with that spread. And if I can create something that is, for me, makes me want to turn the page and find out what happens next, that's usually my green light to say,
Yeah.
okay, there's something here I
Yeah.
can, for me to explore more. And not every book idea makes it to that far, or even makes it past that part. But that's kind of how my process goes.
Yeah. Well, they say half the fun is getting there, right? Sounds like you have a lot of fun getting there.
I don't know if I call it fun. It's more like I have to, it's like a drive. It's like, I mean, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's like, what's that called? Like second level fun. You know what that is? Where it's like, you're not
No.
enjoying it in the moment, but like after the fact, you're like, oh, that
Oh,
was really fun. It's like
yes.
whitewater rafting. It's like stressful
Yes.
and you hate it in the moment, but afterwards you're like, oh my gosh, that was so fun. That's kind of
Yeah.
what it feels like to me to make books. It's like,
Yeah.
it's fun to talk about it after it's done. In the moment though, don't talk to me.
Yeah.
Don't try to be my
Yeah.
friend.
Well, it's fun for us in the after too, to get to enjoy it on our
Yeah,
end.
that part's fun. I like that.
So where is the best place that listeners can find you online to either go through your backlist or be on the lookout for what's coming next?
Yeah, I keep it pretty simple. I just have Instagram. That's kind of my go-to. I'm not really doing the TikTok. I'm not really on Facebook so much or Twitter or whatever. It's just Instagram. And then of course, I've got my website, but Instagram, I'm just Keith Negley. I'm at Instagram at Keith Negley, or I'm sorry, Keith_Negley. That's where you'll find me on Instagram. And then just my website, keithnegley.com, if you want to just go back and look at everything, all my curated best of the best work. But yeah, Instagram's where I post all the current event stuff.
Okay. Well, I will grab those links and put them into the show notes for listeners. I, of course, will put links to the books that we've mentioned, especially The Beginner's Guide to Being a Wizard. And I just want to thank you for coming on today. This was a joy of a
Oh,
conversation.
thank you, Stephanie. This is so much fun. I love talking shop. I'm always happy to do this. So anytime.
Yeah, open door for whatever books come next.
Okay, sweet. Well, we'll be back in a year then to talk about
Yes.
the cat.
All right. All right.
Okay.
Thank you. And
All right.
listeners, thank you for listening to another episode of Kidlit Love, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for listening to today's episode of the Kidlit Love podcast. You'll find links to all of the books, resources, and ideas mentioned in the show notes and at alitlife.com. You'll also find Kidlit Love on Substack. That's where you'll find posts for each episode, monthly Kidlit roundups, and an invitation to join my summer book club and go deeper into the world of children's literature. And if you loved this podcast and want more, you might like to listen to my other podcast called Get Literate. It's a podcast that explores all things books and reading, notebooks and writing to build a life you love. One more thing. If you loved what you listened to today, please take a moment to rate and review the podcast, or take a screenshot of the episode and text it to a friend. This helps the podcast grow and builds our bookish community of kid lit love. Thanks for listening.